welcome to today's session that is on the none type. Now, in the last video, you learned that none is one of the Python's falsy values, but none deserves its own video because it shows up constantly in real Python programs and most beginners either ignore it, misunderstand it, accidentally create bugs because of it. Now, none is Python's way of representing the complete absence of a value, not zero, not an empty string, not false, literally nothing. So in this video, you will learn what none actually is, how to assign it and check it for correctly, and how professional Python developers use it as a deliberate tool in their programs. Sorry about that. Now let's get into it. Okay. So so here it's what you're going to study over here. This is today's agenda. We're going to study what is none, assigning and checking, none as a default, no value marker, key takeaways, and then your action plan for this video. So let's start with the very first one, that is none. Now, none is its own data type in Python, which is called none type. There is exactly one none value in all of a Python. It's a singleton, meaning Python only ever creates one instance of it. And every time you use none anywhere in your program, you are referring to that exact same object. Let me confirm this with a code. Okay. Now suppose x is equal to none. I print x and its type. Okay. Now the value prints over here as none and the type is class none type. Its own dedicated type. Not a string, not a boolean, not a number. Now let's be precise about what none is not, because this is where beginners often get confused. Suppose I print none equal to 0, print none to empty, print none equal to false, print none equal to empty list. Now over here, if you can see, all four are false. All four are false. None is not 0, not an empty string, not false, not an empty list. It is just an absence of any value, not a placeholder value. And here's a useful way to think about it. If a variable holds 0, if a variable holds 0, it has a value, the number 0. If a variable holds an empty string, it has a value, text with no characters. But if a variable holds none, it has no value at all. It has no value at all. And this distinction matters enormously. Enormously. Okay. Okay. Now let's get into another one, that is assigning and checking. Hmm. Now let's look at how to assign none to a variable and critically how to check for it correctly. I think I've shown you this example. Okay, let's go in this way because it's mostly same. Result is equal to none and print result. Okay. So simple assignment, result holds none. Result holds none. Now let's check whether a variable is none. Okay. Now you might instinctively reach for the double equal sign over here. Okay. And it will work. It will work. But the correct and professional Python way to check for none is using is. Let me show you what I mean. Suppose result is equal to none. Okay. If result is none, print result has no value. Okay. Second one, if result double equals to is equal to none, print. I would say this works too, but use is instead. But use is instead. I'm not sure if this would work. Okay. Now see what happens. Both conditions trigger and detect none, but is checks whether two strings are literally the same object in memory, not just equal in value. Moreover, is this is none is both more precise and faster than equal to sign. And Python's own style guide, that is PEP 8, explicitly recommends is none over this double equals to sign. Okay, so this is the correct way, and this also works, but not the recommended style. Not the recommended style. Mm, okay. Okay. Uh, you can also check the opposite of whether something is not none. Thing is not none. Okay. Now suppose result is equal to none. If result is not none, print result has a value. Else print result is still none. Result is equal to none. If result is not none, print result as a value. Else print result is still none. So result is still none. Okay. Now let's get into another one, the third one. Let's check where were we. Okay. None as default and no value marker. Okay. None as a default, no value marker. Okay. Now let's look at the most important practical use of none. That is using it as a deliberate placeholder to signal that a variable hasn't been given a real value yet, and this is called as none as a default or no value marker, and it's one of the most common patterns in all of the Python. Let me clarify you with the help of an example. Suppose example, let's take this example. One. Suppose user underscore input is equal to none. Print before input, user underscore input. Now we ask the user for the input. Let's take enter something. Print after input. Okay. Then if user underscore input is not none, print. We now have a value user underscore input. Now over here, before user provides input, user underscore input, before user provides the input, this one over here is none. It exists as a variable, but it carries no real value yet. Okay. After the input, it holds whatever the user type. Now over here, if I type something, suppose I type Jack. So see what has happened. The once I have given something over here, you know, it holds whatever the user typed. Before that, it was none. So this pattern is useful when you need a variable to exist early in your program, but its value won't be known until later. Okay. So, so that's why I said it's one of the most common patterns in all of a Python. Using it as a deliberate placeholder. Okay. This was example one. Let's name it placeholder. Now, let's get back to another example. Example. Let's write a function. Username, users, Alex, Jordan, Taylor. If username in users result username, return none. Name in users result username none. Result to find underscore user Jordan, print result. Okay, let's take one more. To find underscore user unknown, print result. Okay. Ah, right. Now over here, when we search for Jordan, we found it and it returns the username. But when we search for unknown, it returns none. So return the value on success, return the value on success, and return none on failure. Return none on failure. Failure. So what we learned today, you know, what we learned today, what are the key takeaways over here? Let's discuss about it. Okay, yeah. Key takeaways. First thing is that none is its own data type in Python. None is its own data type, own data type in Python. And it represents the complete absence of value. It represents the complete absence of value. Second, it is not zero. It is not zero, not an empty string, not an empty string, not an empty string, not false. Okay, it's genuinely nothing. Genuinely nothing. Then, third point is always check for none using is. Always check for none using or is not or is not, but not this double equal to sign or operator. Okay, because that's the correct Python style and that is recommended by PEP 8. Okay, and the fourth is use none as a deliberate placeholder. As a deliberate placeholder, that is, when a variable exists but doesn't have a meaningful value yet, and use it as a return value from functions when there's nothing to return. Okay, so once again, the key takeaways are none is its own data type in Python, its own data type in Python, and it represents the complete absence of value. Okay, it's not zero, not an empty string, not false, it's genuinely nothing. And check always check for none using is or is not, and but not this double equal to sign, and that's the correct you know Python style. And use none as a placeholder when a variable exists but doesn't have a meaningful value yet. Okay, okay, so now your your action steps, what are you going to do, and what is you know what do I expect from you? What you have to do is that you have to write a small program. You have to write a small program that creates a variable set to none, asks the user for a number using the input function, and then int, cast it to int, stores it in that variable, and then checks if result is not none before printing the number doubled. Okay, before printing the number doubled. This exercise, this exercises the full none placeholder pattern. Full none placeholder pattern. Okay, so now this was all about none, none type. Okay, in the next video we'll be discussing something very important. So see you there. Till the time, happy learning. See you. Bye.